What began as a cheerful and upbeat morning on Today with Jenna and Friends quickly spiraled into one of the most talked-about television moments of the year when country superstar Blake Shelton unexpectedly walked off the set following a tense and uncomfortable exchange with the show's hosts. Known for his easygoing humor, southern charm, and down-to-earth personality, Shelton has long been a fan favorite on talk shows. But that morning, viewers saw a different side of the country icon, one that revealed the fine line between playful banter and pushing a guest too far. The segment started innocently enough. Jenna and her co-hosts welcomed Blake with big smiles, joking about his cowboy boots and trademark wit. The atmosphere in the studio was light, filled with laughter and the kind of relaxed energy that viewers have come to expect from morning television. Blake seemed in good spirits, cracking jokes about his ranch life in Oklahoma and his life on the road as a musician. When asked about his latest single, he strummed a few playful chords on a guitar placed beside him, earning loud cheers from the audience. However, as the conversation went on, things began to shift. Jenna asked about Blake's upcoming projects and his recent performances, but one of the co-hosts steered the conversation toward his personal life, a topic that has always been both intriguing and sensitive for the country star. While Shelton is no stranger to the spotlight, he has often drawn a line between his public career and his private relationships. When the host started asking questions about his marriage, fame, and life after The Voice, the mood began to cool. Blake initially responded with humor, brushing off the questions with a smirk and a shrug. But as the hosts pressed further, his patience seemed to thin. When one of them made a light joke about how life must be quieter now that he's not next to Kelly Clarkson and Gwen Stefani every day, the singer's expression noticeably changed. The joke may have been meant in fun, but it struck a chord. He replied calmly at first, saying, "You know, it's funny, people always think they know what's going on behind the scenes, but sometimes they just don't." The tension in his tone was subtle but unmistakable. Jenna quickly tried to steer the conversation back to music, but the awkwardness lingered. Another co-host, perhaps not reading the moment correctly, followed up with a comment about his marriage being a constant topic for the tabloids. That was the breaking point. Blake's demeanor shifted from amused to visibly irritated. Leaning back in his chair, he said, "I didn't come here to talk about gossip. I came to talk about my music and my fans." The studio fell silent for a moment as the audience realized this wasn't part of a rehearsed joke. Jenna attempted to defuse the situation with her trademark optimism, laughing nervously and saying, "Oh come on, Blake, we're just having a little fun." But her smile faltered when he replied sharply, "Yeah, well, not everything's fun when it's about your personal life." The atmosphere turned thick with tension. Jenna tried to change subjects by asking about his tour schedule, but Blake had already checked out mentally. His responses grew shorter, his tone cooler. The audience, sensing the shift, stopped clapping and murmured quietly. Within moments, the friendly country crooner who had walked on stage with a grin looked ready to leave. Then came the moment that left the internet buzzing. One of the hosts, perhaps in an attempt to lighten the mood, quipped, "Looks like we hit a nerve." Blake froze for a second, gave a tight smile, and said, "Yeah, you did." He then stood up, adjusted his jacket, and with a curt nod to Jenna, walked off the set. The audience gasped, and Jenna called after him, "Blake, wait, come on, don't go." But the country star kept walking, disappearing behind the stage curtains as the cameras awkwardly cut to a commercial break. When the show returned, Jenna did her best to regain composure. She smiled for the cameras and said, "Well, live TV, folks, you never know what's going to happen." But her voice betrayed a hint of unease. Behind the scenes, producers scrambled to contact Blake's team to smooth things over. Rumors quickly circulated online that Shelton's team had not been informed the show would touch on his personal life, making the exchange feel like an ambush. Within hours, social media exploded. Clips of Blake's walk-off trended on Twitter and TikTok under hashtags like #BlakeSheltonWalksOff and #JennaShowDrama. Fans were divided. Some sided with Blake, arguing that the hosts had crossed a line and invaded his privacy. He was there to talk about his career, one fan tweeted, not to defend his personal life. Good for him for walking away. Others defended Jenna, suggesting that the questions were harmless and that Blake overreacted. "It's a talk show," one viewer posted. You've got to expect tougher personal questions, it's part of the deal. Entertainment outlets quickly picked up the story. Headlines like, Blake Shelton storms off, Today with Jenna and Friends set, and, country star loses cool during live interview, dominated news feeds. Several commentators noted that the situation revealed just how delicate celebrity interviews have become in an era where every word can go viral within seconds. Insiders close to the production later claimed that tensions had been brewing even before Blake stepped onto the set. Apparently, his publicist had requested that personal questions be off limits, but those instructions either didn't reach the hosts or were ignored for the sake of good television. Whether intentional or not, the miscommunication led to one of the most awkward on-air moments the show has ever seen. Blake's team released a brief statement later that day, clarifying that while he appreciated the opportunity to appear on the show, he felt disrespected by the direction of the conversation. The statement emphasized that Blake values authenticity and honesty but believes in maintaining healthy boundaries. Jenna's camp responded more diplomatically, thanking Blake for coming on the show and expressing hope that the misunderstanding won't overshadow his incredible talent and humor. For the next few days, both fanbases remained divided. Some argued that talk shows thrive on controversy and spontaneity, and that Blake's reaction only added fuel to the fire. Others praised him for standing up for himself in a culture where celebrities are often cornered into answering uncomfortable questions. Analysts noted how the incident served as a perfect storm of celebrity sensitivity, media sensationalism, and the unpredictable nature of live TV. By the end of the week, the tension began to fade, replaced by the next wave of trending headlines. But for viewers who watched that morning, the image of Blake Shelton rising from his chair, looking calmly furious, and walking off the stage remained etched in their minds. It was a reminder that even the most seasoned entertainers have their limits, and that beneath the laughter and lights, live television is still as unpredictable, unscripted, and human as ever. The fallout from Blake Shelton's dramatic walk-off from Today with Jenna and Friends continued to ripple across the entertainment world for days. What had started as a routine morning show interview had now become a national conversation about celebrity boundaries, media respect, and the unpredictable nature of live television. The clip of Shelton's exit had gone viral, garnering millions of views within hours, and fans everywhere were taking sides. Behind the scenes, sources close to the show revealed that producers were blindsided by how quickly things had escalated. Blake is one of the easiest guests to work with, one insider said. He's funny, he's polite, and he usually rolls with the punches. Nobody expected him to react that way. Still, others admitted that the show's team may have pushed him too far. There was supposed to be a light question about his marriage, but it wasn't meant to feel intrusive. Once it got personal, things just snowballed. In the hours following the incident, Jenna Bush Hager was reportedly shaken but understanding. A source close to her claimed she immediately went backstage to check on Blake, but by then, he had already left the studio. She really likes Blake, the source said. She wasn't trying to embarrass him. She just didn't realize how sensitive the topic had become for him. Meanwhile, Blake's representatives released a carefully worded statement later that afternoon. It read, Blake Shelton values open and honest conversation, but he also believes in maintaining personal boundaries. Today's show took an unexpected turn that made him uncomfortable, and he chose to step away rather than engage further. The message was polite yet firm, a clear indication that Shelton had no plans to let the matter be swept under the rug. By evening, the entertainment press was in overdrive. Headlines filled every major outlet. People, Entertainment Tonight, Rolling Stone, and Billboard all ran versions of the story, analyzing every expression, every word, and every possible reason for Shelton's reaction. Some journalists praised him for walking away from what they saw as a manufactured moment of drama. Others argued that walking off mid-interview was unprofessional, no matter the circumstances. On social media, fans were just as divided. One viral post read, "He was there to talk about his music, not to have his personal life dissected. Good for him." Another said, "If you go on a talk show, you have to expect tough questions. That's part of the deal." Hashtags like #Team Blake and #Team Jenna began trending, sparking debates not just about this incident, but about how talk shows handle celebrity interviews in general. The following morning, Jenna addressed the situation live on Today with Jenna and Friends. Looking calm but slightly emotional, she told viewers, "We love Blake. He's been a friend of our show for years, and we're so sorry things got uncomfortable yesterday. Sometimes in live TV, things don't go the way we plan. We wish him the best." The audience applauded, and the segment ended without drama, but it was clear that the show wanted to move past the controversy quickly. However, the public wasn't done talking. Talk radio hosts debated the walk-off all week. Some saw Shelton's exit as a calculated move to reinforce his authentic, no-nonsense country guy persona. Others thought it was a rare glimpse of vulnerability, a man simply tired of having his private life turned into clickbait. A popular entertainment columnist even described it as the most relatable celebrity moment of the year, writing, "Blake Shelton reminded us that even stars have limits when it comes to being treated like a headline." Meanwhile, fans noticed that the controversy seemed to benefit Shelton's music career rather than harm it. Streams of his latest single skyrocketed in the days following the interview, and his social media engagement tripled. Many supporters rallied around him, flooding his posts with comments like, "We've got your back," and "Proud of you for standing up for yourself." His tour promotion team quietly capitalized on the buzz, adding a playful slogan to new posters, "Real talk, real music." Inside NBC, however, producers reportedly faced internal discussions about boundaries with guests. The network wanted to ensure that what happened with Shelton wouldn't happen again. One executive allegedly told the staff, "There's a difference between asking good questions and crossing the line. We need to make sure guests feel safe on our stage." As for Blake, he stayed out of the spotlight for several days before finally addressing the incident directly during a radio interview in Nashville. Asked about his walk-off, he chuckled and said, "Look, I've been doing this for a long time. I know how TV works. But sometimes, you've just got to walk away before you say something you'll regret." His calm and self-aware tone disarmed the controversy, and fans praised him for handling the situation with dignity. When asked if he'd ever go back on Today with Jenna and Friends, Blake laughed again. "Maybe someday," he said. "Jenna's great. But next time, we're sticking to barbecue and guitars, not gossip." The host of the radio show burst out laughing, and even Blake couldn't resist smiling. His remark went viral almost instantly, reframing the narrative from anger to humor. By the end of the week, the heat around the story had finally cooled. Jenna and Blake reportedly exchanged private messages, with both sides agreeing there were no hard feelings. Yet the moment had already left its mark. Industry analysts later pointed out how incidents like these highlight the tension between authenticity and entertainment in modern media. Viewers crave real moments, but when those moments happen, they often come at the cost of discomfort or conflict. For Today with Jenna and Friends, the incident served as both a lesson and a reminder. Spontaneity is what makes live television exciting, but respect is what keeps it humane. For Blake Shelton, it was another example of his refusal to play by Hollywood's rules. He's always been a man who says what he thinks, sings what he feels, and walks away when he's had enough. In the end, that's what made his walk-off resonate so strongly. It wasn't a meltdown, it was a message. A message that fame doesn't erase the right to privacy, and that even on live TV, sometimes the most powerful statement isn't a soundbite or a joke, it's the simple act of getting up and walking away.